I'm here to give an updated analysis of my survivor network. The survivor network. I have a good, bad habit of saying, quote unquote, on the record, or on the record, quote unquote. And what I mean by that is the vast majority of things that I bring up can be verified. They can be verified easily or with a little effort or a little money. So please, if there's anything you don't believe that I'm saying, ask me before the evidence disappears. Let me begin. I've been trying to bring attention to Green versus Bell, the court case, since the court case was happening or in the real time. I recognized during this relentless litigation that Pedro Bell was disclosing himself as a bona fide, unmistakable sociopath. It is frustrating, disappointing, grotesque that other people did not recognize that they were going to give custody to a violent, irresponsible sociopath. But I did, and I knew that if I could get people to read the case, they would also concur that he was a sociopath. And sociopaths are not supposed to ever change. So I'm going to say on the record that he's still a sociopath, because I was so sure that he was during this court case, and he obviously was when he was married to my mother, but she protected that side of him. He's still a sociopath. So I've been trying to get people to read Green versus Bell since 2005, when Franny Terrain was no longer my attorney. When Alexandria moved to Florida, I asked for the hard copy. I solicited people to read it. I don't think anybody read the whole thing, but I do remember getting feedback from a stranger. I have been creating media based on Green versus Bell since 2006. Routinely, I created a company called Profile Media Group to bring attention to Alexandria Bell's custody. Profile Media Group became Jubilee Video Project, and Jubilee Video Project was formed by myself and other child abuse victims or survivors that I knew and solicited. I had strangers or people that I did not know before putting out an ad that said they were abused children, and we made videos and other media on behalf of Alexandria. And the goal for bringing attention to Green versus Bell between 2005 and through 2010 was to help Alexandria. By the way, my $1 million domain name, Rate This Record, that was going to be used to bring attention to Green versus Bell if I had scanned it and put it online. But I'm glad RateThisRecord.com is now being used for my great hobby and biggest love besides Christ, music. Okay, so in 2012, I relocated to San Francisco, California to heal and to recover, and I was not concerned about Green versus Bell. I took a break from all of that to heal and recover. I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. I referred to Alexandria in the past tense, and I said, I raised my sister until she was 18 years old. I was in my early 40s. People wanted to know if I had any kids, why I didn't have any kids, do I have any family. I said I raised her until she was 18. I obviously did not raise her until she was 18 because I only saw her once after she turned 13 years old, only talked to her a handful of times after she turned 13 years old. But my position was that I was there for her, and I dedicated and sacrificed my life until she was 18 years old. And that's how I articulated my relationship with my sister between 2012 and 2014. In 2014, at the beginning of 2014, someone tried to kill me on my job after pulling myself up by the bootstraps and becoming employed and striving for stability as expeditiously as any homeless person, as any voluntarily homeless person. I moved to San Francisco homeless, but I had a place to live in Seattle. Just needed to get out of Seattle. And the workers' compensation case, I could talk about that all day, but let's just say that workers' compensation case had me preoccupied with it. And they wouldn't allow me to talk about my past. My psychologist that I had from, the beginning of my injury until the end of the case. So for 4 solid years, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, I couldn't talk about previous abuses because it's something called a broken egg. So I want you to figure out what that is. And if they no longer refer to it as a broken egg, what that means is that you can't ask us to compensate you for anything that happened on the job if you were messed up ahead of time. I was messed up ahead of time. And so between 2014 and 2018, I actually had to do the reverse of bringing attention to Green versus Bell. I literally asked people. Now, I can't prove this because I think the file is gone forever, but I literally asked people to remove media projects that we created for Alexandria, get those offline, because those will disclose that I diagnosed myself with PTSD. I diagnosed myself tongue-in-cheek, or maybe I was onto something in 2006, 2007, 2008. We made a project called the Max Deluge Show at a public access center. I'm sure they don't have it either. I'm not sure what year we did that, but I said I have PTSD. And if the workers' compensation people had found that, that would have blown my case. But it really didn't matter because they gave me $11.75 for my trouble. So now it's 2018. I went back to Seattle in 2016 after I got a different settlement. And I went back there to chill out. And by 2018, I realized that Seattle is no longer my home. It was not helping me heal and recover. I was ready to leave Seattle in 2018, and I had a bad problem with white folks. And so I called it, I'm going to flee Egypt. I'm going to flee the Romans and go to Egypt. And I actually ended up in Memphis. Isn't that, Memphis is in Egypt, And I ended up in Memphis in 2018, and I was positive that I was going to stay there, but I got sick. Giving you all this information that has nothing to do with the case, but I want you to pay attention to the years and where my head was at. So I got sick in 2018 and have to return to California because I was not taking care of myself and didn't have any insurance, so I had to come back to California where I had insurance. Okay, so let's fast forward to 2020. Now I'm in San Francisco trying to find some type of stability. It's ironic that somebody would come to San Francisco for stability. Remember, let's go back to 2012 when I did the same thing. And I started this YouTube channel that you're actually on right now. If you're on the YouTube channel that has Wilson and Green versus Bell and pictures of these people that I quote unquote exposed. This channel was formed in 2020, and I have videos which are basically the same videos that you're listening to right now. I did them in 2020. Different look, a different heart, a different energy, but same story. And that purpose was to, if discovered, and nobody actually discovered me, maybe one or two people, that was to plead for mercy and compassion. That was for for workers' compensation to see, did you hear everything that I told the world? I'm going to tell you that too, and then I need you to give me a check. I can't go back to work. And I was trying to plead for mercy and compassion, and to let people know this is my story. I've been through a lot. When I started this YouTube channel in 2020, I had Wilson wasn't dead yet. I wasn't even looking for Wilson, and I had no idea Alexandria was married and had a different last name. I stopped doing Google searches on her years prior because I thought she was impossible to find online and really wouldn't have any interest in contacting her, but I, every once in a while curious about how she was doing. So in 2020, it was about me, but I put, or I shouldn't say but, it was about me, and I used all of the information to bring out what a survivor looks like, and I started another survivor network. Like I said, I only found a couple of people, and we really didn't do that much, but I know my purpose was to solicit survivors of child abuse, domestic violence, and any other violent, traumatic experience to say, if you've been through these things and you would like to talk to others that have been through these things, and if you would like to have help bringing attention to your story, I'm here for you. If you have any abuse that you can prove on the record, whatever the record means to you, then please DM me on the Facebook page that's enclosed on this YouTube channel. You'll see my real name when you click on Facebook link. DM me there, and let's start talking about what we've been through, and let's start reading each other's stories. If you would like to have your story published or spread around the world, remember, that's what public records are for. If anybody can see what you went through and you are not intimidated about them reading and seeing what you went through, then that's very good. A very good start to healing and recovering, in my humble opinion. So the Survivors Network is up and at 'em again, and I believe this is one of my few purposes in life. Do not stop me, because I will resuscitate, regurgitate, and I forget what the Sphinx does all the time, but that's also a cardinal trait of mine.